Hi, and welcome to another video by Get It Done Home Repairs. Today we're going to be removing this vanity and countertop, and we're going to be replacing it with a new one. Alright, the first thing you're going to do before you do anything is you're going to come underneath the cabinet itself and make sure that you turn your water supply lines off, which is right here and here. We're going to make sure they're off by turning on the water faucet, and they are. They're off. Alright? Next thing we're going to do is we're going to take a pair of adjustable channel locks such as this, and we're going to remove this trap right here. And the way you do that is just loosen it up counterclockwise. And I'm going to do the same thing right here. We're going to let the water run out first because there's going to be a little bit of water. You want to make sure you have a bucket underneath here, of course. And once the water comes out, you can just take the trap off. Pull it down out of our way. We're just going to take this off just to get it out of our way as well. Alright, next thing we're going to do is we're going to come up underneath here and we're going to loosen up these two little 5/8 bolts right here for the hoses. You're going to take these off very slowly just to make sure that we have no water coming out. Slide the bucket under, and we're just going to make it so it just loosens it very slowly, and we'll watch it to make sure the water stops coming out. Sometimes the valves themselves don't shut off all the way, so we'll see how it is. Okay, so that valve is off. We'll leave it off. We're going to do the same exact thing on this side over here. We're just going to loosen this up a little bit to make sure it's not leaking. Again, you want to take it off nice and slow and let the water come out if there is any in there. Okay, and that's disconnected now. And the last thing we're going to do is we're going to come up underneath here, and we're going to just take this little clip here, push the two pieces together, push it backwards, and you can pull it right off, just like that. And that's it. Our countertop is now disconnected. You want to look around underneath here to make sure you have no screws holding it in. But as you can see here, there is no screws holding it in. It's just freestanding. So we're going to take this, take it out, and then we'll grab a new one, and we'll start putting it back together. Okay, now that we have the vanity in place where it's going to be, we came in here and we pre-drilled holes in the back of the vanity here and here so that we can mount the vanity against the wall so there'll be no movement. And as you know, it's actually into a beam. So we just followed the beam down here, and now we know that that screw is going into a beam, and we know that this screw here is also going into a beam down here. We're just going to screw it in, and then we'll continue with that. So let's do that. Now you don't want to over tighten it, cause any kind of an issue with flexing or twisting. So you want to shim it as you're going along. Okay, we're going to drop the shim in over here to shim it up, and then we'll tighten it up the rest of the way, and then we'll put our countertop up on top as well.
Okay, before we put our countertop on, we took our vanity and we took our faucet assembly and we put some plumber's putty around the top of it so that way it keeps any water from possibly getting down into the vanity when you use it at a later date. So we put it through, we pushed it down until the plumber's putty pushes out from the sides of it. Then we go down to the bottom and we put the plastic little screw caps on there to tighten it up and hold the faucet assembly in place. We're going to catch both of them. Before we tighten anything up, we're just going to snug it down, and then we'll catch our second one on the other side, and slowly we'll tighten it up until the plumber's putty pulls out from around the side of the faucet itself. Nice and tight. Okay, then we'll take off the excess plumber's putty that's around the faucet area where it touches into the vanity. We could take that off now, or we could take it off later. It's personal preference. What we're going to do now is we're going to take some more plumber's putty and we're going to turn it into like a little bead, and we're going to put it around the drain assembly that goes through the sink itself. Now don't worry about using too much. It's better to have a little bit too much than not enough. And we'll just put it around there and wrap it around. We'll get rid of the excess. And now we're going to put this into the top of the sink itself. We'll push it down by hand so it sticks through there, and then we'll go to the bottom of the sink itself and we'll screw in the rest of the drain through the bottom. Now remember, it's only made of plastic, so you don't want to over tighten it and damage anything underneath you. Now with one hand you'll hold the part on the other side so it doesn't fall out, and we'll turn it until we snug everything down so that it touches into the bottom of the sink. And then we'll make sure we tighten it up so that the drain is actually facing in the correct direction. And then we'll snug this collar down by hand. You really don't have to use any tools on it. You just snug it down as tight as you can by hand. There's a rubber seal on it, and it seals it. Okay, and it's in the correct direction. And now we'll put our drain in up on top. Okay, the next thing we're going to do before we lay our countertop on to the top of it is we're going to put a bead of silicone around the entire top. The silicone is what's going to hold the top of the vanity to the lower part of the vanity. Once it dries, it's not going to move at all. So we'll put a lot of silicone around in there. You don't have to use too much, just enough to hold it in place around the entire perimeter. The next thing we're going to do now is we're going to take our countertop with our faucet and drain already installed, and we're going to lay it on top of the vanity, and we're going to let it sit on top, and it'll push out any of the silicone that's around the bottom of it. Now I do want to tell you this, any of the excess that squeezes out, you want to clean it up before it dries thoroughly, and then you can't take it off. Okay, and then after the silicone on the top of the countertop is dry, we reconnected our drain, we reconnected our supply lines, and then we're going to test it to make sure it doesn't leak. Now you want to make sure you use new O-rings whenever you put this back together, so that way you don't have any leaks whatsoever. And of course we're going to check it just to make sure, and make sure we have no leaks whatsoever underneath there. Okay, and this is what it looks like when it's all finished. Our sink is on, is dry, The vanity is screwed to the wall, so there's no movement whatsoever. Our faucet is in with the plumber's putty, and the drain is on with the plumber's putty as well. And that's it. This job is done, and on to the next one. As always, thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys on the next one.